started. I'm sure we'll have some people continue to join us, but no worries, they can join in the conversation. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Madison Rich. I'm the program manager for Healthy KC and Gym KC here at the Chamber. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have a little over 100 registrations for this call. I think that's our highest webinar so far, which is fitting because this is a very important and popular topic right now. We wanted to make sure to bring in two of our best resources for this discussion. Both small business owners. They're excellent at what they do, and they've been incredible partners for us over the years. In a few minutes, they'll take the opportunity to introduce themselves formally, or further, but formally, I'd like to introduce Dr. Michelle Robin. Many of you know her for her leadership of Your Wellness Connection, Big Shifts Foundation, and Small Changes, Big Shifts. Dr. Robin, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Next, I'm happy to introduce Hailee Bland-Walsh. Hailee is the owner and founder of City Gym KC, along with being a speaker, writer, and coach. Hailee, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
To be here.
Both of these amazing women can be found on their social media handles. Dr. Robin is on all platforms at Dr. Michelle Robin, and Hailee's Instagram handle is Hailee B. Walsh. I encourage you guys to follow them. They're always putting out helpful and motivating content, which I think we can all agree is super helpful at a time like this. A little bit about today's structure. So Hailee and Dr. Robin are going to take some time to introduce themselves further and get this conversation started. Ultimately, we'd like this to be a discussion. So if you have questions or like to share in the conversation, please be sure to add it in the chat feature. Across the bottom of your screen, there is a little chat bubble icon. When you click that, it'll open up something on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can do real-time Q&A in there. And then Taylor just actually dropped in their social media handles as well in the chat. If you want to contribute to the conversation, please just make sure to unmute yourself and just jump in whenever you'd like. So now I'm going to kick it to Hailee and Dr. Robin to get us started.
Hailee, we're both being interested. Here, you go first, Hailee.
Okay, so just a brief intro. I'm the owner and founder of City Gym. I'm also a writer, speaker, coach. I've worked in the fitness industry for almost 20 years and am super thrilled to have the opportunity to be here today. More than anything, I'm coming as a human being who is fully embracing this time and what it feels like to me as a human being first. Second, as a business owner and an entrepreneur and navigating this really unprecedented time. So I am here as much for me as I am for you to get to share space with Dr. Robin and all of you. And I'm really looking forward to a conversation. When we met earlier this week, that's sort of the direction we felt like we wanted to take. We don't want to lecture to you. We want to really hear what you need. And we'll definitely try our best. I know for myself, I'll try to facilitate resources and give, the best sort of resources that I can. So off to you, Dr. Robin.
Well, back at you, Hailee. And what a fun afternoon to get to be hanging out with some great people. I see some of our great wellness people, some pictures. I think, Hailee, your hair's changed colors. So I'm not sure. Hailee, Hailee Prophet, not Hailee.
Oh, I was like,
Hailee Prophet. So Michelle Robin, I've been in the wellness space I've just started my 28th season. I've been around it since I was 15, so 35 years total. Honored to walk through this time. And I think it'll be a time that we look back many years from now and go, holy sugar, what happened? But all the good things that happened out of it. I'm also a business owner and trying to guide my team. The questions I have been asking myself this week as I've stepped away from my practice for a week or two is to say, gosh, what could I have done better as a leader walking through this? And I loved what you said, and the big words I put across my notepad, Hailee, when we talked the other day, was the word grace. And I think that as we have this conversation today, that we all need to give ourselves some grace, since none of us have ever walked through this before. No matter whether you've been around for 10 minutes or been around for 100 years, this is a new precedence for us. So we'd love to hear your questions. I would love to, I'm going to kind of interview Hailee here a little bit. And Hailee, what are some of the wellness things that you're doing to kind of take care of yourself during?
Yeah, so I will say my first inclination was to sort of proceed ahead as normal, or as normal as I could. So I have a kind of a workout schedule, mental health schedule that I ascribe to every week. And so right in the beginning, that was my first reaction, was just keep moving in the direction I was moving. And pretty quickly that felt not like the right strategy for myself. I was, I had to really kind of investigate what my emotional state was rather than just plowing ahead. And so by doing that, I began to uncover not what I should be doing in terms of, the should, but what we just talked about earlier, what I can do every day, and how I can sort of meet myself where I am. So after about 7 to 10 days of kind of plowing ahead, I really took some time to be thoughtful about what I was feeling, because I was sort of dissociated from that. I was feeling very frenetic and reactionary, which is not typically my way of being. But as a business owner, things were changing so quickly. We were trying to strategize, so I was really in sort of like mental overdrive. So my self-care practice every day looks totally different than it did before, the shutdown, if you will. I've been trying to be really intentional about really thinking through what I feel like would feel good in terms of my movement practice, not just what is scheduled for the day, but what would really feel good. So this morning, the sun was shining. I knew I wanted to be outside. And so I grabbed my bike and spent an hour on my bike this morning, which for me was such a luxury because I typically teach 2 or 3 spin classes a week, which means I don't get the luxury of getting out on my bike as much as I want to. Plus with cars, there being less cars, it was just a good time. So covered myself in sunscreen, got on my bike, and then just headed out. And it felt really good. It felt like what I needed to do. So I've just tried to be really, to really investigate instead of just thinking that there is a right. I really have been spending time being mindful about investigating what I need. And that's a different strategy for me. I'm a very like scheduled framework person. So sort of getting up and feeling how I feel and then making a decision from there is a new way of moving and being. What about you?
Well, I know for me, it's, my life had a rhythm, and I feel like I lost rhythm in it. A couple Fridays ago, maybe 3 Fridays ago, my spirit started downloading. My spirit typically talks to me in the shower or in the early morning of the last part of my sleep between 4 and 5 or so, and just trying to talk about how do we get into a rhythm. And I think that's what's been hard for everybody is you can't plan. It was hard to plan for tomorrow. We're probably starting to get a little bit more of a base now, but the first 3 weeks it was like it changed every minute. You think, okay, I'm going to stay open, I'm going to work shorter hours and we'll accommodate. Then it's like, well, then in your case, you guys had to close. Our business is considered essential. Part of our business, 60% of our clientele is wellness clients. So we've had to basically say, you guys need to stay home. We'll take care of the crises, try to keep the burden off of the ERs with musculoskeletal systems and hopefully help our people stay as well as possible mentally. So for me, I'm just, trying to find a new rhythm. And I believe that when you find rhythm, it builds resilience. And that's what we all need to try to figure out, what's going to help us be more resilient and help our families, our friends, our kids be more resilient. I think the sooner we can find some type of rhythm will be helpful. So that's what I've really been working on. And I've really also been working on that word grace. Maybe I'm working 6 hours a day instead of 10 hours a day. And maybe I'm working out 2 hours a day instead of 1 hour a day. And so how this new rhythm.
Yeah, and giving yourself space to kind of to figure that out on a daily or weekly basis, and not feeling like there's a right answer, I think is really important too. And then for me, just really being tuned in to my feelings and honoring those things. And for a while, I was having a feeling and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. And then I saw an article about it basically the title was "The feeling you're feeling right now is grief," and I thought, okay, this makes so much more sense to me because my productivity was down, my kind of energy level was down, my spirit felt down, and I thought, what is going on with me? But when I could look at it through the framework of grief, I thought that's a totally appropriate response to what's happening right now. Your energy is down, your spirit is different. And so just acknowledging that feeling I was having was grief gave me a real perspective shift, and has allowed me to navigate from a different place. That's been really helpful and healthy.
It'd be great for the people that are tuned in with us to possibly in the chat section, kind of what you're grieving right now, and then let's dialogue about that. It's for me, Hailee, I'm so glad you talked about that feeling. And the feeling I had actually was scared. I was scared that I was going to be giving COVID to my patients and not knowing it, because they say that people that are pretty healthy are good carriers. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay. And then I didn't want to take it home to my family. And so there was just so much, and then scared of I making the right decision for the people that listen to my guidance, whether it's my patients or my partners, or my home life. So I think there's going to be several stages, and I believe it's Elizabeth Kubler-Ross who talks about the 5 different stages of grief. And so for me, what I really identified was not yet grief. I think that will come, but it was more scared. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if any of other people listening today have felt scared at all for themselves or their family. So.
Yeah. What are the most pressing sort of questions that you're asking yourself or you're thinking about as a business owner or just as a human being right now? We'd love to hear those so that we can dialogue about where you all are. We could talk about ourselves all day, but we really want to be here to to help you navigate.
So there's a, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to jump in, and then I see some questions. So as those come in, I'll kind of share a little bit about what I'm experiencing right now. A lot of you know this, the ones I work with quite a bit. I'm supposed to get married in mid-May, and we have over 300 people that are supposed to be attending. And we're waiting as long as we can to make the decision on postponing. It's not what any bride wants to do, is postpone their wedding day. So I've just been under a lot of stress of just deciding what do I do? When do I make that decision? But then I try to remind myself that I have a lot to be grateful for. And I'm fortunate enough to have a wedding this size with all my friends and family. And there's other things happening in the world that should be prioritized more than what my wedding would be. But it is causing a lot of stress because we've been planning this for 1.5 years. And to have to move everything, it's just on top of everything that's going on at work. It's something that I continue to struggle with, but try to remind myself it's out of my control a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of what I'm experiencing.
Well, yeah, I have to say that practice of letting go has been, it just, you feel like for me, I feel like, oh, okay, I'm pretty good at like letting go and being a flexible human being. And then it feels like the level in which we're having to let go over and over and over again, little things, big things, it just, it can feel really overwhelming. And, like you said, you're in this place where you're just having to sort of relinquish the control and not know what's next. And I think, I think that's exactly where you should be, and just honoring that feeling of, yeah, this is hard and sad and frustrating, and I don't know what's next, and, to be continued.
Madison, my heart is really feels for what you're going through. I know that you've been planning this, most women plan their weddings most of their life. So my heart's with you. And what I do know is that you will rise above this, and it's going to stink as you're walking through it. But as you're being gentle with yourself, know that we're loving you up through this, and our other followers as well. As we continue to think about how do we look at the good and not Pollyanna over the shit that's happening, because it is shitty right now. I like Hailee, I had to lay off, I had to furlough my team. I've never had to do that in 28 years of business. That was hard. At the same time, how do I continue to support them while they're at their homes? But I could not risk the fact of them getting COVID, and at the same time, I could not risk the long-term jeopardy of our business, because at the end of the day, Hailee, you and I, people are going to be thriving, and they're going to say, you know what, my well-being has taken a priority in my life after this situation. So we have a lot of great questions. Let's just kind of, people are talking about, maybe I'm looking at the last one here from Flash Dog. People are feeling overwhelmed as well as scared and stressed, and then also trying to figure out how to get this new rhythm of working. And some people are working more than they were working before. That's what I'm hearing. People are saying, gosh, you know what, I used to work 8 hours a day. Now I'm working 12 because of whatever reason. So let's talk about overwhelmed. What are some strategies to help people that are feeling overwhelmed? You know, we also have Robin Todd on the call, I believe, and who's a mindfulness practitioner. Robin, I think it'd be great to pull you in with some of your expertise, as long as Hailee and the team don't mind. I'm going rogue here, ladies. Maybe she's not on the phone still.
No, I am.
So,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I love what you guys have already really been talking about in terms of really tuning in to ourselves, seeing what we need, being curious. These are challenging times, I think, for all of us who, I know many of you are in the wellness space. This is bringing out challenging emotions for us as well. So I love what someone said. We have to walk the walk. And I think that sharing and being our authentic selves with those around us of our own struggles and our own challenges and discomfort, but also offering some hope. And I think you touched on gratitude. You know, what we know is what we pay attention to determines our life. So wherever our attention is where our life is going to be. So I think it's really worthwhile for folks to, and I've been encouraging people around me to start noticing where they're placing their attention, and perhaps identifying some boundaries so that they can navigate these things in a healthy way. So obviously being informed, but not consuming the news 24/7, because we can internalize that and that can take us under. So it's finding that balance. And for each of us, that's different. For each of us, that's unique. But certainly I have found for myself, I've had to kind of explore that and find that balance of staying informed, but also knowing when I need to give myself self-care and kind of take a break. I think you also mentioned that gratitude practices. We know that that's incredibly important in terms of our mental health, physical health, of embodying those positive emotions. So perhaps shining our spotlight on those things that are happening around us that are positive. And there are lots of positive things happening amidst all the other things going on as well.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, so for example, I was getting all of the cancellation forms. I own City Gym. I was getting all the cancellation forms, and I was finding that I was getting sort of traumatized every time I would get a cancellation form because it felt so personal to me. I didn't expect for it to feel so personal, but it felt really personal. And so I was able to delegate that and say, I just need to know in the tens. I don't need to know every single one. And please share with me the positives. And so for every cancellation, and none of them have been, I can't believe you're not open. They've all been, my life has changed dramatically. But there have been these silver linings. There's been these stories of folks, like just yesterday, we received an email from someone who's been accessing our online content, free online content. We're doing workouts every day at 8 a.m. They said, my wife and I are just so impressed at the level of instruction and community building, and we're not members, but when you open again, we're going to come and we're going to join. And so it's, like you said, finding those moments to say, okay, those become your little lifelines or your strongholds to get you to the next place. And I think that that's really important. I also can relate when people say that sort of like hopey, changey, positive of not really acknowledging the sort of depth of feeling that this is bringing can also be a strategy that feels condescending or patronizing. You say, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed out about my business. And the person says to you, oh, it'll be fine. You'll be fine. It'll be better when you open again. And that, to me, it feels like I'm really not being seen. Right. So it's, for me, it's finding those moments of gratitude or those silver linings, and also just really acknowledging that this is an unprecedented time and that we are feeling emotions in a way we maybe never have before. And both of those things can be true, right? The both and, right? Instead of the either or. And that's been a strategy that's been really helpful for me, that the both and.
When I think what I love what you said is, we call that fake positivity. Toxic positivity, where we can just like slap a happy face on things and it's all going to be good. And so I think what you said is a very mindful approach to gratitude, in that, we acknowledge that this is hard, but we also want to share, our gratitude practice starts out with searching for a nugget throughout our day, a simple thing. Maybe it's your cup of coffee in the morning, or the bird that's perched outside your window, or the flowers that are starting to bloom. And the second one is then savoring that, which I really think is something that doesn't happen often. So we'll just kind of breeze by those things that bring us joy or we're grateful for. So really that savoring is taking it from here in our thoughts, in our brain, and bringing it into our heart. And so we just savor it for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, but we have to kind of internalize that to really reap the benefits of that positive emotion. And then the third is just then to share it in an authentic, organic way. I think not certainly letting people be heard, but then finding those opportunities to kind of share our little nuggets of gratitude throughout our day. It places that make sense. That's not just trying to breeze by the difficult emotions that folks are feeling. So, yeah. I love what someone mentioned about storytelling. So we know that our brain loves to tell stories. I don't know if anyone has noticed that in this process. We start with a little nugget of information, and then we start getting emotionally sucked into it. And it might start with noticing the death toll. Or for me, it was last night hearing the projection of in 2 weeks, we could be at 100,000 deaths in the United States. So it starts out with just a little nugget of information, and then it starts to spin into this huge story that has me with it, my family with it, my children dead, our world collapse. It just gets blown out of the water, and then we start to believe that story, internalizing it, and it just takes us in places that is not healthy. So catching ourselves and telling those stories is really helpful. Catching ourselves and just noticing that that's a story, and then questioning that story and really just gathering facts. So that's the projection. The facts are that's just a projection. The facts are we've got a lot of things in place. The fact is we're doing what we can right now to stay, isolated. Really just looking at the facts as if we're kind of that outside observer is just really helpful for us to navigate those stories that are can run rampant, and they're little and they're big and they're every size in between.
Yeah, I like that. I like that strategy, the fact strategy. What is real? Try to quiet the story. I think that's a helpful strategy for folks.
Well, it makes me think of Austin Perlmutter. He's an MD, and he wrote the book called Brainwash. And I just interviewed him for my podcast, and he talked about time, and he used have a time limit on the media. So think about it as an acronym: time limit, be intentional. So you have to be intentional, since you're communicating. Someone mentioned communicating via email. It's hard to really express how you're feeling. So maybe that's where you pick up the phone to call, but be very intentional about your communication, not only with others, but with yourself right now. And what this one, once again, what Robin's an expert at is this mindfulness. How can we be mindful about the movement? How can we be mindful about our self-care? And for me, I'm mindful that my day has three types to it. It has the self-care, it has my productivity time, whether it's, in some people, it could be schoolwork, it could be business work, whatever that is. And then it also has family time and connection time. And that family could be somebody in your home or somebody out of your home. And what I find for my new rhythm is that, and I'm being mindful about that, is my connection time could be, I could have an hour of self-care and then 2 hours of productivity time and then an hour of family time and then do that again.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean it has to be 6 hours in a row or 8 hours in a row. Just as Perlmutter said, his last one was enriching. And what can we do to enrich right now? And some words that dropped into my mind yesterday on a podcast I was doing was about really thinking about all the good. And once again, I try not to be a Pollyanna. I try to be realistic because I could go in that dark rabbit hole pretty easy. But I would look at what's happening even in Kansas City. You know, we have business owners that are giving $5 million to either loans or grants to small businesses, and then you have the Tyler Notbooks of the world who they're working. His business group got 50,000 COVID tests, and so it'd be interesting if we actually started listing some of the little things that are happening, especially in Kansas City. We have such a generous community. So that I was thinking about that word time and how do we use our time, and then how do we limit our social media or limit our media absorption of the news, because it can bring you down pretty darn quick. And next thing you know, you're eating 6 cookies or something because you're not going to live till tomorrow. Hailee, you probably don't recommend that, do you?
Cookies in moderation. All things in moderation, including moderation. No, but one of the other things that I have seen that has been new is how many people are outside. I feel real that as a movement person who is telling folks to just get outside and that you don't need to have a gym membership to move your body or to be connected to your body, and the absolute essentialness of being connected to our physical bodies. People are outside. I want to continue to encourage run partners and walk partners at least 6 feet away. Be really intentional about that. Otherwise, you're going to get a dirty look from me when I'm running past you. But watching folks talk to their neighbors, just stand and talk. My entire block was outside on Saturday or Sunday. I was washing my car, and everyone was talking to each other from our respective yards. And the fact that our schedules are so different, we only have time, right? And how much of my life have I thought, gosh, I just don't have enough time. Right? There's not enough hours in the day for me to get done, or weeks in the year for me to get done what I want to get done. And now we have this incredible gift of time, right? And so being really thoughtful too about, not feeling overwhelmed by the time, but using it in creative ways. So being outside, right? Connecting to your body outside. The sunshine is an amazing way to boost your mood. Science has proven that over and over again about the importance of sunshine. I'm a very extroverted, community-based person. I mean, part of what I love about walking into City Gym is it is my place, right? I am in my place. Not that I'm the owner, but it is that all of those people there, we love and care about each other. And so finding ways to connect with those folks. So on Monday, I had happy hour with my best friend and his husband who live in California. We did a 4-hour-long Zoom happy hour. And I thought, why have we never done this before? This was so fun. We ate, we drank, we had this great time. We had all of this connection. And so that intention behind, like, having the time in the space and the intention on community and creating those opportunities, there are those little moments of, oh gosh, I hope that this is something that remains, right, when things are back to normal. Although what I have really embraced is there is no going back to the old normal. It's going to be a new normal. And so, yeah, I also want to just encourage folks who are, if you're feeling that that percolation to move your body and be really thoughtful about what you're being called to do. Maybe you're a runner and you're thinking, man, I just need some yoga, or you're a yoga person and you're thinking, man, I just really need to I need to move my body, I need to sweat, I need some cardio. I want you to be really thoughtful about feeling what you should be, how you should be feeling and feeding your body. So for example, I rode my bike this morning, but I downloaded a book that I've wanted to read. And this afternoon, I'm going to go for a long walk and listen to my book, because I know that I just want some a long, slow, movement-based, kind of mind-based period of time. And so, and I'm really now I have something to look forward to. It feels like that 3:00 cookie and coffee, right? But instead it's a book and a walk, and now I have the time to do that. So I want to just acknowledge that while there is a lot of heaviness right now, that finding those opportunities to really tune in and listen to your body and get connected to your body, it's a really powerful time.
I love that, Hailee. And I wanted, what you're describing is something that we talk about in our training, which is finding balance between the doing and the being. And so we live in a world, well, prior to this, where people are extremely busy doing all the time. And being almost, they just don't really even know how to be, just to be. And the interesting thing is that we're being forced to do that now. We have this time to just be, and that's really uncomfortable because people just, it hasn't been, I would never ask folks to do this the way we've done it, because it's kind of like thrown you in, and it creates a lot of the emotions that we're having, because we know that, it's more baby steps is really how we want to go at it. But unfortunately, people are forced to have this time to just be. And I love the things that you've suggested in terms of just really exploring that and being okay with that. One, I think giving ourselves grace to know that this feels weird. I have time that I've never had, that I haven't had for 10 years. What do I do?
My whole life, I am
Ever.
the most scheduled, regimented human being on the planet. And so for me, it's like, whoa, time to go for a walk and listen to a book.
So it's giving ourselves grace to feel that, but then also to take a step to help ourselves, because just to sit with it, it can, what I love is that you're recognizing how you're feeling, but then you're also taking a small step to help remedy that, because we have to kind of keep stretching ourselves just a little bit to help ourselves remedy that. One of the things that somebody wrote in, and I just want to address a suggestion, was just feeling anxiety for the first time. That, of course, again, such a common thing, and our bodies are true sayer. So that's one reason we want to really tune in to what we're experiencing. One of the things that I love when we can start to tune in is we can kind of start to notice how our body's reacting, or our thoughts, noticing those triggers for us. So maybe it's fear. Maybe it's every time somebody called you, as you said, and it was that, here's another situation that created fear. But then kind of implementing a go-to phrase that just helps us, gives us a sense of ease. And for each of us, that might be different. It could be an action. It could be just pausing and just breathing. It could be a go-to phrase like, we're all in this together. I can do this. This too pass. Maybe it's a scripture verse. Whatever it is that kind of helps us navigate that discomfort in that moment, can help us kind of get, wade through those triggers that can lead us to some places that create more anxiety or fear.
Yeah, I love the mantra idea. I mean, my mantra has become, no matter what, I'm going to be okay. No matter what, I'm going to be okay. And there were a couple of weeks where I thought, I'm not going to be okay. I'm not going to be okay. Nobody I know is going to be okay. And I was really in that story, right? And I finally had to, start to create a little bit of my own support. I am a support for so many people that it didn't really dawn on me that I needed support. And so I started getting, selecting those folks who I knew could hold space for me, could really be present for me, and were on my kind of my care team. And being able to say to that, talk to have those conversations got me out of that real basic kind of primal fear response, anxiety, feeling it in your body, to just a little bit more capacity so that I could say, I'm no matter what, I'm going to be okay. No matter what, I'm going to be okay. No matter what my new normal looks like, I'm going to be okay. And I know that because I've been through a lot, as we all have, right? And sometimes when we're in that fear, we forget. Thinking through some of the things that I have overcome, thinking through some of the, hard times or strategies I've implemented have been really helpful for me. And I would say if you're experiencing anxiety, whether it's for the first time or at all, think about a time where you did something really hard and before you did it, you thought you couldn't. And maybe that was a marathon, right? Maybe it was training for some physical event, or maybe it was a divorce or a business closure or whatever. But you thought at the beginning of that thing, there's no way I'm thriving on the other side of this, because that will help remind you that you're going to be okay. No matter what, you're going to be okay. And so
I love that. And that's one of my go-to phrases, is that I can do hard things.
Yeah.
I've done them before. I can do hard things. We all can.
And that's actually something I say to my classes all the time, right? You come in here and we create a fake laboratory where you do hard things, not because it's just good for your body, because it's good for your brain, right? Like you create new neural pathways when you show up when it's hard and you push through. And I was like, I have everything I need. I have been training for this my whole life. I just got to put my bike, I got to just get on the road and just put my tools into practice. And so that's been a powerful strategy for me.
And a strategy that I would add to everybody who's feeling anxiety is, in this moment, are you okay? I think there's so much, and somebody mentioned on there, we don't know what's next. We don't know what the future brings, but in this moment, we're okay. And so that's what I tell myself. I'm okay right now. And to take the next step. So, Hailee, I love that you said we've been training for this. We have the tools, because a lot of us, and another thing to do, is interesting. I did this about 6 weeks ago. I kind of listed some of the stuff I'd been through. And I think it was just kind of a reminder that I am a warrior. And everybody on this call, we are warriors. Right. And we are going to get through this time together. And it's going to be stinky a little bit along the way, but there's going to be the nuggets that we're going to have. And find your mantra, whatever that would be for you. But Liz, what I use for myself is, in this moment, I'm okay. I have what I need in this moment. And that helps me not live in fear. So Hailee, as we start to, we've got about 20 minutes on the call, and I don't know if Taylor or Madison, did you have any other specific questions you wanted us to address as we continue on here?
No, I actually, Dr. Urban, we had this set for 30 minutes. So I think this was a lesson. Yeah, this is a lesson learned for us, that maybe next time we can do this again. We extend it a little bit longer. Because I think this was great conversation. You guys shared a lot of insight, so we appreciate that. And thanks for everyone that's joining. I think we are going to wrap up, since we are technically 10 minutes over, but I think if we do this again, we'll have to schedule it for longer. Dr. Robin, do you have something else?
Well, I'd love to offer us a wrap up, if that's okay with you. And I took some words. I'm a little bit of a word nerd, and to everybody that came on, once again, you can find Hailee. She's all over social, Instagram. You can find me as well. But I heard the words, be curious. And so I'd be curious about what your body's trying to tell you. I'd also give yourself a lot of grace. And I would also don't lose hope. There's hope, and we all are going to know somebody who dies of COVID, and that's not to be a Debbie Downer. That's a reality, but there's the hope. There's going to be a lot of people that live through COVID as well, and we are going to continue to lock arms, and then grab that mantra and hold on. And I would say, find a buddy, somebody that you can check in with daily. That, like Hailee said, you really need that tribe, and I would pull your people in close to you. And the 5 or 6 people, or the 3 people, or the 2 people that really help you stay grounded in this time. Know that we're all here to support you. The Chamber has done a wonderful job through the Healthy KC initiative. So we're all here to help you. Just reach out if you need us. We're sending you lots of love. Thank you, Madison and Taylor, for hosting us. And Hailee, you know, I'll be your wingman anytime, wingwoman anytime.
Yeah, thank you. Same. And I always appreciate getting, I learn more by being on panels with you. So thank you for all your wisdom.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Robin. Thank you, Hailee. Thanks for everyone that called in to listen and gave your feedback. Please send Taylor and myself any feedback you have or any questions you may have. We're happy to answer them. Again, this is our first time really doing this type of webinar, so I think we've learned some things so far, but if we do it again, I think one thing is to extend the time a little bit, but please send us your feedback if you have it. Also, be sure to follow Hailee and Dr. Robin on their social media handles, and then the KC Chamber as well. We're doing frequent webinars and different topics that we think are useful to our members, so we encourage you to help. That's all we have for you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.